All right, so here I am live earlier in the day with my voice just coming back from the long video that I made last night. I did not actually think I'd be making a video this morning, but yesterday the whole thing came up about like Sony and Marvel, I guess or Disney you want to call it, and the whole Spider-Man thing. And I got up today and I saw news that I half expected and half was kind of surprised about. And that basically was that WWE, hey Skelter, is taking their NXT show, which for wrestling fans, by the way, is their most popular show, Hey Livins, and they're starting in September, they're putting it on the USA Network on Wednesday nights. Now, why does this matter that they're changing to a new network, that they're going on Wednesday nights, that type of thing, that they're moving out of the, kind of, they're still going to be in the they're still going to be on the W network. It's just it's going to show a day later. But why go? Why go live? Why do like the a 2 hour show on Wednesday nights? Well, it's pretty obvious. Well, Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho, with the backing of the Khans, have actually started a company called All Elite Wrestling (AEW), and they put on their first show, which was actually pretty incredible. If you have not seen the match between Cody Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes, it is utterly insanely amazing, and is some of the best ring psychology that I've seen in a long time. And so their show anyway, they've got a show on TNT. It's starting in October on Wednesday nights. Of course it is. So I guess WWE kind of like laid back for a bit. They were kind of quiet. Then they showed their hand. Then they showed they were a bit nervous, that they were a bit unsure, and they had to go up against. So we're going to get the Wednesday Night Wars, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. I just wanted to preface with that, but first I did. Oh, I got to open this up here so I can actually see this. Yeah, dude. I mean, like, I'll be honest with you, Logan. My wrestling watching has been iffy. You know, I will watch like one of these, but will I watch like? Do I watch the newer stuff? I tried on Monday night. They announced that like there was rumors that there's going to be a big announcement on Raw, and the announcement most people thought was going to be that NXT was going to be going up against AEW. So I sat down to watch Raw for the first time in a while, and that show was 3 hours long. I'd forgotten that. I had forgotten that I was going to be watching a 3 hour long episode of a show, and I'm not going to lie to you. Yeah, it shouldn't it shouldn't be 3 hours. That's horrible for like scheduling and pacing a wrestling program. Don't do your show 3 hours long. 2 hours is fine, unless you're doing a pay. If it's a pay-per-view, I get it. Uh, but there was a lot of like, there was some good stuff. I mean, like Sasha Banks, some pretty cool stuff there. And then you get like to the end of the program. I'm gonna spoiler alert for anybody that hasn't watched Raw yet. Uh, and there's like there's a tag team. Like they got, and you think, okay, this is the tag team. They're I know it's insane. That you got, that's a lot of commitment. That's a lot of nachos, Logan. That's a lot of nachos. Uh, so there's like two guys and just randomly put them together. There's a guy named Seth Rollins, uh, who was a great wrestler. Should you learn not to use Twitter as much? And there's Braun Strowman. They're not a team. So they kind of just get haphazardly put together in a show, and they win the tag team titles. So okay. So they don't. I don't like it when personally when they take the titles like a division title, like a tag team title, and WWE does this a lot and uses it more or less as a prop for like a singles, like an eventual a one-on-one singles, like eventual Seth Rollins versus Braun Strowman type of thing. What I do like about AEW is that the Young Bucks are there, along with many other good tag teams. So actual tag team wrestling takes a forefront, in as in teams going up against each other. Teams like the Best Friends, teams like just the Luchadors, like just some really, really, really good stuff. But before I get totally into that, I'm going to talk about the Monday Night Wars. I'll bring you back 20 years. I'll give you my thoughts on that, because I do think that what we've seen like documentaries about the Monday Night Wars and stuff like that, usually produced by the WWE. So needless to say, it's not exactly the most even documentary that you'll ever see. Hey, Vinny, Wednesday Night Wars, does that matter to you? Does it matter to you? Also, Vinny, you were not here when I made a Donald Sutherland reference. Shame on you. And Friday, indicator sale. But before I go any further, before I go any farther into the wrestling thing, I'm going to take a side step, and we're going to talk a minute about Spider-Man. We're going to go back a few years. So, a few years ago, before like Marvel was bought by Disney, and before the MCU happened, there was a time when Marvel wasn't doing very well. And I mean, like, really, really were doing badly. So what did they do? In order to keep the company afloat, in order to keep things going, what they had to end up doing was they ended up selling the rights to some of their intellectual properties off to other companies. Sony got the rights to Spider-Man. Fox got the rights to the X-Men. Things got divvied up. It was a hard time for Marvel, and thinking back on it, I don't know. Kind of blame Jim Shooter a bit. But anyway. Who will it hurt more, Sony or Sony? It will hurt Sony more, and I will explain why. Here's why. There you go. There's your reference, like wrestling reference, by the way. Who's that? What Culture? It's What Culture, right? Like the Simon Miller guy. Basically, so afterwards, for a reason though. Afterwards, what happened? Well, basically, Sony came out and they did the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films much later. Now, the first two Spider-Man films were in the hands of Sam Raimi, pretty much like all the way through. He was the mastermind behind Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2, and you can tell that. You can actually see like Raimi's like fingerprints all over those films. That's his thing. Now comes to part 3, Spider-Man 1, especially part 2, critically acclaimed, done really well. What does Sony do? This is where Sony gets greedy. Sony comes in, and Raimi can still do Spider-Man, but now all of a sudden Sony has certain conditions to doing Spider-Man. First off, he has to put in Venom, because Sony has decided they're going to do a Spider-Verse type of thing. And I'm not talking about the cool cartoon movie. I'm talking about an earlier version of what this was going to be, where they're going to have like all these different, they have the Spider-Man franchise. So Sony's idea for the Spider-Man franchise, rather than like focus on what Spider-Man is milk it in as many possible ways as they can think of. If they can get an Aunt May movie out of that, go for it. If you can get every like random character out of Spider-Man, like branch them off in the films, that fantastic ideas for them. That was Sony's thoughts on Spider-Man. It didn't seem too bad at that point, because they weren't really going all in on it. Now, they forced Raimi to use the character of Venom. Now, it's commonly known, anybody that has ever seen an interview with Sam Raimi, is that Sam Raimi is a huge classic Spider-Man fan. And I got to focus on that portion of it. He's a classic Spider-Man fan. And if you watch his videos, it was funny. I like videos about like him talking about Spider-Man. He hates the character of Venom. He's not the person to do Venom. And people wonder, hey Sasha, I wonder how come how come Spider-Man in the dark suit acts the way that he acts? How come he does this whole like kind of this dancing down the road, kind of this really quirky weirdness. Like, isn't he supposed to be be evil or bad or like this darker version of Peter Parker? Well, he is actually, and that's what you actually get in part three. You get the darker version, or what Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker that we've seen from films 1 and 2, with his personality and the way that he acts, what he would think is a badass, what he would think is a darker persona. So it, although doesn't make for a great film, it makes for cinematic sense storyline wise. So I can't take that away from him. I just think it was really, you could really tell Raimi's like. I know, but he's not though. I mean, like I get what you're saying. Like people say, I don't think so. Who's Spider-Man's main villain? Uh, Green Goblin, and Doctor Octopus. It's been a long time since I could even remotely say that Venom was a villain of any real sorts. Venom quickly became an anti-hero, and would they really though? Like think about it, Logan. How long was Venom a villain in Spider-Man? Like seriously, like how long was he actually a Spider-Man villain before they had to branch out and do symbiotes and they had to do Carnage? How long was Venom an actual like villain against Spider-Man? Because I can tell you like, how many years like Doc Ock has been a villain, or how many years Green Goblin's been a villain. Where we're going on 40 plus years when it comes to stuff like that. But Venom was a very popular character at a time when and to be completely blunt, comics were doing really well financially, but creatively they weren't the best. I collect comics, and I really collected them during the 90s, during the whole boom. I almost had a comic book store, but you suddenly got these edgy characters. Venom is one of the better ones. Venom is definitely one of the better ones. Like you got the Venoms and the Lobos and characters like that. That really, luckily, Venom is one of those characters that could reinvent himself over time. Like we got the Eddie Brock storyline, and of course there's Matt Gargan, Flash Thompson. We got the whole anti-Venom thing, the Planet of the Symbiotes, all that type of stuff. So is like Venom. That's because the oversaturated the market. You had people that started collecting, and they were like, "Oh, this Superman comic is worth like $100,000." But yes, because that Superman comic was made at a time when a lot of comics actually ended up getting destroyed. Hey, welcome, JR. And so there's not a lot of like editions of that comic available. Of course, it's worth money. However, when you're riding a crest wave where you're putting out like alternate covers of different comics, and you're doing a whole aspect of like, look at this shiny comic, look at this particular cover. Let's make 100,000. Let's make 150,000. You got to get this Death of Superman one with the Iron Band. You don't want to miss out on that. And then we're going to reprint that so you can get it again. So yeah, the comics during that time period are worth very, very little. None of them are going to be worth a lot of money ever, unless something serious happens, and a lot of the comics get destroyed. So that's obviously a given right there. And for Sony to go for Venom, I can see what they wanted to do. But when you have a creator that really doesn't like the character, really doesn't know the character, then maybe your best bet is not to try and shoehorn that character into a film with somebody that really can't do it. I had a bunch of comics, guys. I before this, my previous collection were like long boxes of comics that were worthwhile only for me. At the end of the day, I could sell these for like really cheap and still make more money than I made off of my comic collection back in the day. Though I was smart enough to kind of ride the end of the crest wave and kind of like settle a bunch of stuff before, just before the crash happened. So that was good. And I also was in cards too. Anyway, yeah, they probably should have waited on Venom later, because it messed up the film, and they probably should have waited on Venom tell Sam Raimi to have his story told. I like Captain Marvel. I thought Captain Marvel was fun. My dad knows nothing about these comics. Doesn't even know what Captain Marvel was, uh, and I think that could be it. Well, because it gets really fun. Captain Marvel does have a bit of a is a slower start, but it goes there and it gets there, and when it gets there, it gets real. There's a couple cool twists, so I recommend checking it out again. Like ignore like take all any like politics or any type that stuff out of it. You just want to don't you just enjoy film for what it is. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. That's that. Your opinion is what counts, not what other people with any other agenda is going to tell you. That's the end of the day. Whether you enjoy, if you enjoy it because you don't like the movie. If you don't like the movie, you don't like the movie because you don't like the movie, and that's fantastic. Yeah, all that stuff is, all this stuff. Well, I think nowadays, Sasha, that's just noise that kind of sometimes gets in the way of us just enjoying films, right? They definitely that would have been really interesting, actually, is have a black suited Spider-Man like film. I would have put it onto. I would have went on to the fourth film. I don't think I would have done it on the third film because there's a lot happening in the third film, and like he had a script already. Like there was supposed to be the Vulture at that time, and we are supposed to get like the Vulture and Sandman. That was a big thing. John Malkovich was one of the names like in the running. That's pretty big, man. And Ben Kingsley was another guy in the running, like to do the Vulture. So I would have let him like, I would have like teased the black suit, but if I was Sony, well, I would have let Raimi do his third movie, maybe go on to do his fourth movie with Mysterio, and then at the end of the fourth movie, they got their other director, their next director for their Spider-Man saga thought up. They're not rebooting it again. They're going to keep going on from there, and they can do Venom with a director that's really into Venom, a director that's going to take it and like knows the material well, and actually does like a lot, like can bring a lot of things to it that Raimi can't, because Raimi is the first person to tell you he's not the person to make a Venom film. So Sony just had to be a bit more patient. Yeah, but they can recast. I mean, you can recast a role without having to refilm. That's another problem that Sony has with their Spider-Man franchise. I'm just going to get to that right now. Actually, let's go right there. So Tobey Maguire didn't come back after part three, obviously, and rather than just go on with the films, I don't think so, Scholar. I don't think so. Not this time. But if they do, that is the death knell for that. If they if they reboot after like getting Tom Holland and he's popular, a lot's going to come back to really if Tom Holland wants to do this. I'm sorry, I don't know. Oh, you do not mess up my live stream, dude. You ask good questions. Anyway, so Sony decided, let's reboot Spider-Man, but this time, let's not focus on Spider-Man. So their idea was to make a Spider-Man that was a bit cooler, a bit more hip. They took out the nerdy part of Peter Parker completely with Andrew Garfield. By the way, none of this is Andrew Garfield's fault. He was given the script and he did the best that he could with these films. They decided that they were finally going to use the Lizard, but it wasn't going to be Dylan Baker, the actor that had portrayed the character for the last of Kirk Connors in the last few films, and was incredible. And Dylan Baker, by the way, is one of my favorite, like kind of like character actors. He's kind of like the Logan. Who's that played Renfield again? Dwight Fry, right? Dwight Fry. He's kind of like the Dwight Fry of his day. He's always there. He's always like that solid like back character. Trick or Treat. Think it from there. He would have made amazing, like Lizard. Would have done a great job, but they didn't do that. No, what Sony decided to do was they were going to go all in a bit more on like different aspects of. It was an amazing choice. I would totally agree with that, Sasha. Andrew Garfield had the basically that the conversational, the way Spider-Man jokes around, that the banter that he has with his villains when he's amazing, amazing Spider-Man. Peter Parker, not so much. So again, a lot of that still comes down to the writing. Um, was it a good film? Not really. It's an okay film. It's not in the ballpark of any of the Raimi, even the third film. It's not in the ballpark of even of the third Spider-Man film as in terms of quality and what they do with it. The mess up the lizard a lot. If you've ever seen the lizard character, he's been messed up in the comics too, but they really messed that up. Um, but so then they go on to the second film, and they say we're going to do Electro. Now this guy gets excited because I'm a huge fan of Electro in the comics and of course the old Ralph Bakshi cartoons. Uh, they're worth checking out. Like there's aspects of them that are okay. And then they said well, they're going to do Green Goblin. I got super excited. I'm a huge Green Goblin fan. I wanted to see how how they were going to do a Green Goblin. And then they listed that oh God, I can't remember the actor's name, but it's an actor that I really enjoy anyway. Young guy has an odd name. I'm not even going to pretend that I remember his name. I don't at all. And I thought, well, okay, that's young for the Green Goblin. So are they going to go straight to the Harry Osborn thing? Obviously, they're not going to do Norman. You're not going to get any Bart Hamilton in there. There's a bit of a deep dive for you comic wise. But the it's almost like they went. It's almost like the Amazing Spider-Man films kind of went to the Ultimate Universe. Spider-Man 2, with definitely Spider-Man 2, like quickly, by hair of a fraction, because I really loved the first Spider-Man film. Willem Dafoe's the man. What is wrong with my voice? This is killing me. I'm gonna get you guys to start talking soon, so I can stop. So anyway, so they come to do the second one, and they really there's no focus on the movie at all. Remember the Mummy? Remember how bad the Mummy did with Tom Cruise? Remember that film? I thought it was kind of fun, but was definitely wasn't a good film. So Spider-Man 2 does what the Mummy did, and in films like that, it is so focused on creating a Spider-Man universe of films that the film itself like just completely collapses under the weight of this. Like you got Spider-Man, and then there's the Green Goblin, and this makes no sense by the way. Just um, you get like you getting some other characters. You're getting like the backstory of Peter's dad, who's a spy, and you're finding about the Sinister Six, and there's these other characters, and there's this like underground vault with all these like things showing different like costumes that were made by Norman Osborn. It's a mess. It's an utter mess, and it really like does it badly. And they decide like, okay, we've done two movies. Let's kill off Gwen Stacy because she dies in the comic books. Why don't we kill her off in the second film here? The that is who I'm thinking of. Thank you, Sasha. That's the name that I couldn't remember. I think he's a really good actor, and I think he's got like a. There's places that he can definitely. I think he's gonna have a good future, if everything goes well. He'll have a good future ahead of him, because I think he's a really good actor, and he has this kind of like this quirky, unique sense that that you can kind of pick up on. He does a great job, like in Amazing Spider-Man 2, but it just he doesn't have a lot to work with. It's a wreck. So anyway, they kill Gwen Stacy because she died in the comics after a long period of time, not after two films. They just wanted to kind of push that Mary Jane thing, so they hired Shailene Woodley to play Mary Jane, and then they didn't put her in the film. I'm not joking. This happened. They hired Shailene Woodley to be Mary Jane. They shot some sequences, and they never put her in the film at all. So they killed off one love interest, and I guess maybe they thought about putting in another one. They even like teased like a big rhino sequence, which literally ends up being the last few frames of the film, where Spider-Man goes up against Rhino. Yeah. Anyway, it was a it was a disappointment to say the least. Sony at that point were, as part two was coming out, had listed that they were going to do a movie with like this, just with the Sinister Six. They wanted to do like another movie, like they thought maybe to get Aunt May and some other characters to do a movie. They had like we'll get like we do a Morbius film. We'll do a Venom film. Obviously, those two, Venom films come to pass. Morbius film is happening. We're going to do all these films, and we're all going to put them in this big universe. And Spider-Man's going to be over here and there, and it was a wreck. So Sony had nothing really had just milked the hell out of Spider-Man to the point where they really didn't know where to go, didn't have any idea what to do, and it looked like Spider-Man was dead. It looked like it was a pretty dead franchise until they lost the rights, and we knew that Sony was going to be one of those companies that they're going to make a movie even if it's not good to keep the rights, because that's the kind of company Sony is. They want those rights, and it doesn't matter if the movie's good or not. They'll throw some crap out there just to keep it, just as a placeholder. It was. How can you waste Paul Giamatti like that, Jared? How can you waste Paul Giamatti? Was in a fantastic, like here they had all these great actors for Amazing Spider-Man 2, and every single one of them was wasted. Every single one of them. So after that, Spider-Man 2 was such a huge failure. Uh, they literally took. I'm not sure who wrote Spider-Man 2, but if you've seen it and you've seen Batman Forever, then you completely know the complete story arc of Electro, because it is lifted from the story arc of the Riddler from Batman Forever, where, oh look, I'm a really big fan of yours, and oh, I feel like I've been slighted, and now I'm your enemy. Yeah, and I mean just the way to the way they acted, to the quirky nerdiness that the characters have before they become their respective villains. Yeah, the Riddler. Yeah, Jamie Foxx owes a lot to Jim Carrey's Riddler from Batman Forever. Um, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, like it was a mess. They weren't nobody was thinking about the movie that they were putting up on the screen. They were thinking about this film in the future and this film in the future. In order to get to that future point, in order to get to that part, what you got to do is you. My pops was a carpenter, and he built like hospitals and houses and buildings. And I remember helping, like he let me help, like build our house down in Cowhead. So the first thing you learn is you build a solid foundation. You mix that cement. You pour it. You section everything off. You pour out off. You do the section, just smooth it out. You make sure you got a damn solid foundation before you start really working out past that frame. That's what you do. That's how houses. That's how buildings are made. That's how films universes should be done. Marvel, the MCU universe didn't work because, oh, here's our big plan. This is what we're going to do. This type of thing. It worked because Iron Man was a solid film, and it was followed by other solid films. When, if they would have went with like a weaker, if they would have had like a really bad, if we would have had a Spider-Man 3 type of thing, I love that. Then would it, maybe the MCU would have been derailed. Like, needless to say, Thor, the Dark Elf, whatever the hell that was called, Dark, that did not help the MCU. But but overall, he had more consistency. Anyway, so Marvel, Kevin Feige, the guy behind the MCU, because they got like one single person, one solitary vision. It's what you need. Uh, the Poor Christopher, another wasted actor, Christopher Eccleston, an ex-doctor, wasted. Uh, so they get together, they make a deal. Sony and Marvel make a deal. They'll help out, kind of like in like the creative, the casting, that type of thing, and they'll get to use Spider-Man in the Marvel universe, and Sony will get to do their Spider-Man films. Now, it was very important for Kevin Feige to ensure that he was getting a good Spider-Man in the film. So casting was really important, and because this was this Spider-Man was going to be their Spider-Man in the MCU as well. That was something that was needed. So between them, they really had to agree, and I would be willing to. I wasn't there obviously, but I'd be willing to bet that like Sony like really did like have to say have to eat a bit of crow and say, okay, Feige, what do you think about this? So we've seen it. Some people think like that the last couple Spider-Man films have been very MCU and a bit have focused a bit too much and a bit too reliant on being part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But you have to understand that previously to this, uh, the they had bombed be, because they had created their own faulty universe that just didn't work. So I'd be willing to bet. I would bet that it definitely was not Kevin Feige's idea to say, yes, totally make these Spider-Man films Iron Man centric or put lots of MCU stuff in there. No, Sony knew they'd failed before, and they were hedging their bets. They were putting in as much as they could. Some people were upset because they said that they wouldn't give the script of Endgame to to the people doing Spider-Man. So some changes had to be made on the fly. I'm sorry, Endgame was one of the biggest movies of the last decade. Of course, you're not going to give your script to another company. I don't care if you're in bed together. I'm not going to do it. If I'm writing like say if I'm I used to write. So if I'm writing like a book series and there's a big novel coming out, I'm not going to like say, hey, you want to read my novel before I put this out? Oh, by the way, you're putting a novel too. That's fantastic. No, I'm not doing that. So it was a bit of a mess. So right now, Spider-Man's not in a good spot. There's a couple ways they could go with it. They could keep going with Tom Holland. I really think that's what they're going to do, but it's going to happen. It's going to. Oh, yeah, what is that? I can't remember right now. I apologize. Gotham is actually it's get past that first season, which is a bit of a well, first season there's some good stuff in the first season, but it keeps getting better. But I don't know this right now. I'm sorry. Uh, uh, it's been a while since I watched some Gotham. But but yeah, it's going to be different. I mean, like Tom Holland may not want to do it. Uh, 'Cause I'm not sure how long like Tom Holland is like has been put in there for, like what his thing is, or if like his agent might say, we signed on for a different type of Spider-Man. We signed on for Spider-Man in the Marvel universe. They might kind of want to contest that a little bit. It's just Sasha because you're so used to like those HBO shows now being like 13 episodes and 8 episodes on Netflix and stuff like that. But trust me, they have some real winners. You'll keep it up. You're gonna get some good stuff, especially in the second and third season. Some great stuff. But and Tom Holland, of course, is going to be playing. Well, it's rumored. I think I'm not sure if it's official or not. He's going to be playing Drake in the Uncharted series. Some people are kind of upset that like isn't he young to be playing Drake? Major Crime Unit. Thank you, Scholar. But actually, if you actually played all of the Uncharted games, you know that there's the sequences where they start with the younger Drake, and actually they're some of the best sequences in the games. And Tom Holland can grow with it. So if he wants to, if he really wants to, he can he can go to his agent and say, I signed on to play Spider-Man, but I signed on to play Spider-Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. See what can be done. Get me out of this thing. I don't want to be. I don't. There's a train wreck coming. I don't want to be part of it. I got another franchise that I can actually do. So that's my thoughts on that. Sony's in a bad spot. Like Disney's going to do okay anyway. I think, and this is my personal thoughts on it. Scott, are you the man? Is that we're getting a bit of superhero fatigue anyway. That's coming up. We're getting a bit of superhero fatigue. We're getting tired. Oh, thanks a lot. It's my Pet Cemetery shirt. Uh, I like your 88 films collection, by the way. You got it is awesome. Uh, I uh, I think we're getting to the point where we're going to see a lot of the superhero stuff. We're going to see less films. We're going to see more like TV shows and like mini series and limited shows on like streaming services like Disney Plus and stuff like that. But film wise, I think you're going to see it slow down a bit, and I think you're going to see the audience kind of slow down a bit on the whole superhero aspect of it. Things go it's cyclical. Um, I think Disney's in a fantastic spot. They don't need Spider-Man. To be totally honest with you, Disney never needed Spider-Man. This was a Sony. It was fantastic that they had Spider-Man. He worked well within the Avengers, but there are other characters that they could have put in. Um, Disney never needed them. They still don't. So, in all honesty, they could have put out a ridiculous offer just to get rid of Sony. Um, Obviously, the creativity and the creative minds are already there. It's on Disney's side. Um, that's the thing. A lot of people are going to want to hate on Disney because they're a big company. Um, but they're a big company that's put out like whether you like I don't like the business practices or something like that. Um, well, it really though, Scott, like when you really think about it, Iron Man is gone out of the MCU right now. His character has sacrificed himself. The biggest tie to that Spider-Man had in the MCU was his connection with Iron Man. Like seriously, when you really think about it, he was Iron Man kind of mentored him. Happy Hogan was there. Um, that was that was a big thing. That was a big portion of like who this Spider-Man was. Now they can do the next Avengers movie or the next whatever film, and with Iron Man gone out of the equation, uh, the fact that Spider-Man's not there really you're not gonna blink. I want the original cuts, dude. I so want the original cuts. But it's not so much on the other side because Spider-Man has focused on being a part of of the whole like universe. They have damage control was used in the first film. The Iron Man was things that happened behind the scenes with Iron Man and Tony Stark and Happy Hogan. Um, those were big portions of the last couple of Spider-Man films. Guess what? They don't have that anymore. So they're got to do another Spider-Man film. They either got to reboot it or they got to got to like somehow kind of explain why there's no Happy Hogan connection anymore, why they can't talk about Stark anymore. So Disney's got a lot of characters going on right here. Marvel's got so many characters to go with. And they're going in a new direction. And basically, this is kind of the next generation of Marvel. That's what we're seeing right now. I'm actually kind of excited. I want to see Sam Wilson as Captain America because I'm a huge Sam Wilson Captain America fan. Like the comic was amazing. Dude, I'm sorry, Jason. It just happened. I'm excited about a couple things. We're almost done the Spider-Man aspect of it. I'm talking about Spider-Man in the Marvel Universe. Um, I'm going to be talking about some wrestling stuff if you like that as well because there was big wrestling news, huge wrestling news today, and we kind of saw it coming. But I actually want to talk about that. but yeah, it's it's going to be a hard time for Sony with I think with Spider-Man. I really do because they have focused over the last two Spider-Man films in making him very MCU centric. So there are certain things that they've set up with over the last couple of films that they can no longer go with. Um, the and that scares me because that makes me think what we're going to get is another reboot. Maybe it'll be with Tom Holland. Maybe they'll go casting again. Tom Holland tends to be a fan favorite, though I can't see them like recasting him, but I can see them kind of going back and like doing Tom Holland, and I hate to say this, and then doing like the whole Uncle Ben thing, or really trying to push their cinema, or the worst possible scenario, which for me this is the worst possible scenario, is taking the Venom that they've created, which I actually did enjoy, and I enjoyed the fact that it was more Lethal Protector than it was Spider-Man universe, and taking him and like kind of like shoehorning him in to like really trying to shoehorn him in to the Tom Holland Spider-Man films, which I think is going to work as well as Spider-Man 3, because we've already got an origin for this Venom, and it has nothing to do with Spider-Man. They would have to dial back the Venom origin, and they'd have to dial Spider-Man back in order to find a way to put them in the same film. The indicator stuff. My next video was supposed to be, and it will be, which will probably get done tomorrow. Just so you know, Jason, and probably in the night. Don't worry. I'll be doing a video where we're going to look over indicators complete, everything they got on their website. We're going to go through. We're going to make up a list. Where am I from? I am from Canada, if the accent does not give that away. I'm originally from Newfoundland. I lived in Ontario and Alberta over the years. I am now living in Nova Scotia, 10 minutes away from where they filmed My Bloody Valentine, the original film. And I also have a house in Morocco, a condo. So I am a man of the world, but I'm Canadian. Just like those Molson hats that came in today. I am Canadian. Oh, okay. Yeah. Usually people say, actually, probably because I've got a weird accent because of the fact that I go different places. Dude, one, I'm not drinking any ginger. Just, I ain't doing it. But I promise you, I will figure out my throat by tomorrow. In reality. But I do need to get a drink though. I need to get a Fresca. So hold on a second. I will come back. We will talk more. You guys want to talk more comics? You want to talk more wrestling? You want to talk more of the Sony Marvel thing, or the Disney thing? You guys decide. I'm going to go. I'm going to step out for a second, grab a drink, come right back, and you guys can let me know where you want to go with this. Because, yeah, it's Choose Your Own Adventure Day. So I am hoping that this soda water here is going to kind of cut into my obviously bad throat for doing so many videos for you guys over the last few days. Let's see what I missed. Natasha Romanoff. Well, it makes sense. Welcome. We have people here from all over. You vote comics? Not a wrestling fan, JR? What flavor soda? This is actually, I think this is a grapefruit. It's a grapefruit citrus, kind of a soda water. So, not so much like a soda. I'm more into, I used to be a lot into like the sodas and stuff like that. I do like more the kind of the fizzling water. All my beer is gone. I drank it on my last trip. But it's something to become an aficionado over the years. You either like it or you don't, I think, with beer. So you vote comics. All right, we do have to get to the AEW NXT thing. though, because that is big news. But I'm trying to think what else I can say when it comes to it, because I think I've said pretty much everything when it comes to the whole Spider-Man Sony thing. I think I've given my opinion on it and where they're going to go with it. Uh, it's actually a good citrus one, and it does cut a bit in the way that I want it to. So that's a plus there. All right. Well, you guys are thinking of any comic book related questions for me? I am going to. Yeah, they say they're still trying to work it out. Do you think they will? I mean, I think Blue Corner, they need to. Uh, because here we are at a crossroads where Sony's going to realize, oh crap, we really painted ourselves into a corner with the last two Spider-Man films. We kind of need the MCU without having to reboot everything again. Uh, the cards are in Disney's, whether you like it or not. The cards are in Disney's favor right now. Uh, whether it was on purpose or through pure desperation over the failure of the last few films, Sony really hung onto the MCU, and like, look, we're Spider-Man's part of the MCU. You got to watch it. You know, you got to see this. Now, but Sony doesn't have the advantage. Like, I don't get that. uh, None of these arcs that they've done in like from now to the end ever like focused on like Spider-Man was, it was cool, and you had some cool sequences in like for in the MCU with the Avengers film, where like Spider-Man comes up and he grabs the shield, and he does a great job. Tom Holland's fantastic, but his character isn't necessary. His character wasn't even there. He was written in at the last minute. Uh, he's not the person that, like, he doesn't take out Thanos. He's not the cornerstone of the Avengers. Disney doesn't need him. They really, it's fantastic if they got him. It's a major plus. It's a bonus. There's definitely money to be made there. Um, but he's not necessary to Disney. Now to Sony, the Marvel universe is much more necessary because, well, I think they've got it planned out fairly well. I mean, like, Kevin Feige had the last thing done out, and now it's going. I think it's going to go in a bit of a different direction with the streaming service coming. We're going to see a few more like television programs, like with the Marvel universe, and I think we're going to see some high end stuff, stuff that's going to rival, like, going to better what Netflix was doing, for instance. And we're going to see like movies like come from that. We're getting like the Winter Soldier, Falcon like thing. We're getting like the WandaVision thing. Um, Marvel was smart in that they let Sony put in as much Marvel as they wanted to into their Spider-Man films, and Sony. And Sony just they did they took that bait, and they said, yes, we'll put Iron Man in here. Happy Hogan's going to be here. We're going to use all this. Well, or forgetting the existing movies had Iron Man, Cap, Widow, and so on as the main cast. Now, don't see, Spider-Man was never the. Uh, I gotta disagree, because Spider-Man was never thought of as being anything that they were focusing on as their as the front man. Um, Captain Marvel will be a character that they use a lot. I don't think that's going to be the front character either. It's kind of their version, like their Superman type character. Um, but no, I think we're going to see some different, more unique things. It's going to kind of more into Doctor Strange is going to be more important than than Spider-Man would be. Characters like the new Captain America are definitely going to have kind of have more of an importance. which I hope to God they do, because I've been waiting for this. I'm a huge Captain America fan. I've been reading Captain America since back in the back in the '80s, probably, yeah, back in the early '80s, I guess. I really like the Steve Englehart run on Captain America, and I love the uh, I love the fact that that I love the Sam Williams Captain America. That was one of my favorites. And that's what you're saying. Iron Man was the focus. Do you actually think? Okay, all right. I gotta be honest with you, did you actually see Spider-Man leading the Avengers? Elijah, I remember that storyline. Not my favorite storyline, by the way. Like seriously, or Spider-Man? No, because they just bought Fox, man. Um, the next struggle for this is going to be, it's going to be the Fantastic Four, and with the enormous, tremendous amount of villains and characters and backstory that the Fantastic Four has to bring to the comic book universe. Uh, Obviously, that's where they're going to go with it. They never like it's Sony and Spider-Man. It's always a hand in hand type of thing. You're never going to put your focus of your universe on something where somebody else has as partial control of it. You can't do that. It's just, it doesn't make any logistical sense. But so no, yeah, he would never have been like the lead. He would have been like the kind of the wisecracking member of the Avengers, like, type of thing. But would he have led the Avengers? No, no. I mean, Tom Holland was too young. They wouldn't have used him in that capacity. They've got a lot of other characters they're going to use for that role. And that being said, tomorrow, if they started to do the Fantastic Four and they needed another wisecracking person to do it, like who's young and kind of hot-headed, well, Johnny Storm, and there is your and there's your teen character, who's hot-headed and literally, and makes wisecracking jokes and banter, and they don't have to worry about ever losing the character because they own him. So yeah, that's the thing. Why would you? I mean, you just can't. I mean, I wouldn't do it. It's just too much of a headache to say, okay, let's make this, let's make this person that we have some of the kind of the foggy rights to, leading our company. There's a reason that Disney was a bit standoffish when it came to some of this stuff. There's a reason that Spider-Man doesn't have the big scenes in either one of the Avengers films. Um, yeah, he's got a cool scene and a comical scene and a heartbreaking scene, but they made sure that to kind of to focus on that fact, and they anchored him to Tony. They anchored him to Tony, and then they killed Tony. Hawkeye could easily. I mean, as much as people like to hate on Hawkeye, anybody that reads the comics and have read like the Avengers West Coast, all that type of stuff, you're gonna know like that Hawkeye definitely was a strong center to the team, and when the time came, he kind of stepped up and became that character. For Yeah, so there's a lot of things they can do, but I think at the end of the day, Sony is gonna try and make a deal. Whether Disney just wants to just say this is too much of a headache, it doesn't matter, and just doesn't go with it. I don't know. If I was Disney right now, I'd say, okay, yeah, sure, we'll go with it for now. But yeah, I'd keep it the way it is. I wouldn't. Uh, I would probably. I do my Well, George, since my YouTube channel is not a money making extravaganza, um, the reason I do this is out of pure love of of just being here and talking to people, debating like I'm doing right now, and like talking about films and comics and wrestling and video games. So I'd probably still do the channel. You probably see some better production value. He has maybe comic wise, like Spider-Man is probably one of the best known Marvel characters, but not anymore. Um, do you read? I'm guessing you read comics, Blue Corner. I get a feeling you kind of read comics. You're a comic reader too. Uh, as far as the MCU goes, they killed off their best known character, which was Iron Man. The retired their other best known character, which was Captain America, and they killed off Natasha Romanoff. So, but the set the cornerstones for the people coming in. They still have their Guardians of the Galaxy. That's the thing. The most popular characters aren't always like Iron Man. I'll put it to you: Iron Man was not a huge popular, was not who anybody would thought 10 years ago would lead a comic universe. Nobody would have thought it. Nobody, and that's because some of the better characters to utilize, some of the better characters used in films, are not the more better known characters. It can often be the lesser known characters that actually kind of like cornerstone something like this. And if you ask anybody like who who watches the films, like say they just watch the Marvel films, say they're just fans of the Marvel films, uh, they're gonna know who Spider-Man is, but it's not gonna be their focus. They're not like comic fans and comic geeks and like people like me are going to be more upset than the regular audiences because they're just going to watch the movies and they're going to have fun with them. Uh, Spider-Man's not that is a much bigger commodity, I think, to you than he actually is to actually the producers of the films. To be completely honest with you, they're Spider-Man's not that he's not that important in the big scheme of things for the MCU. Is he important for Marvel? Yes, very important in the Marvel comics. In their comic books, like Spider-Man is an amazingly well done character, and not all the time. Trust me, superior Spider-Man. I'm just going to say that. Uh, I think a lot of people want it. But as for the films, no, he's not. He's just really not that important. Um, I'm glad you like him, and I'm glad you really enjoyed the films. Sony will keep doing Spider-Man films, but the MCU will soldier on, and it's really not that big of a loss. There's a lot of characters they can put in that place. I want Spider-Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yeah, but there's a reason they stay as cartoons. Uh, think about that. Just think about that for a second. There's a reason they're cartoons. And there's a reason that the MCU is not. I mean, I don't know how many more ways I can go around about it. Uh, I know I can tell you're very passionate about this character. You think a lot of the character, and I grew up like loving Spider-Man, but I have no, you know, uh, although it's a character I love, I still know, like logistically, from a filmmaking standpoint, it just doesn't make any sense. Uh, for he's nothing about his character is ground enough to there's nothing about his character that holds up the universe at this point. There's a reason that the Spider-Man universe didn't work. There's a serious reason why Amazing Spider-Man 2 failed so bad, because they were setting up a Spider-Man universe and it was failing as they were setting it up. Uh, so let's hope Sony does a better job of it this time. But at the end of the day, I don't really think there's anything else I can say to you except, yeah, no, sorry, dude. But it, Marvel, the MCU, I guess they're not they're just not that into him. Um, that's the that at the end of the day, that's the truth of the matter. Uh, they kept him on the fringe, and Sony decided to go all in. And at the end of the day, Marvel doesn't really have to change anything. They just don't have to mention Spider-Man again because his mentor's gone already. So that's there's that aspect of it. And Sony got to take a lot out. If they go on without the MCU, there's a lot of stuff that's got to go out of their Spider-Man universe that they can't use anymore. Hey Jesse, welcome. Thank you. uh, but there we go. That's my that's my take on the whole Spider-Man thing. Uh, because honestly, you know, I I try to see this. I don't like to look at things. I'll never look at things as a fan perspective. For me, when I look at this, I gotta look business. That's my thing. I'll look at it through like a business perspective, and and a creative perspective. That's my that's my focus. All right, now now we're getting off of Spider-Man because I think we've said it all. No Spider-Man team up movie. Okay, Jess. Yeah, we'll go there. Okay. No. Did you want to see that happen? Because I like Deadpool on his own. I don't want Deadpool in the X-Men universe either. You guys are like super like passionate about this, aren't you? Wow. I'm pleasantly surprised. Um, yeah, I remember the comic, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know if they could like replicate it on screen. I kind of like Deadpool in his own thing, doing his own thing. That's how I go with the Deadpool character. Some people worry if they do if Deadpool is going to go from an R to a PG-13. Uh, I I think they have that basically they'll I don't know what they're going to go with. If it was me personally, we've seen two R-rated Deadpool films. Uh, you guys are going to hate me for this. I'd do a PG-13 Deadpool film, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you exactly why. Because I want them to push the limits of the creativity that they can do with the character. Uh, I can already see Deadpool 1 was good. Deadpool 2 was really fun as well. But I don't want to see them get lazy with this and just go with the obvious joke, the R-rated joke type of thing. Yeah, let's just get that all done. Yep, there was. Don't worry. I blocked them and removed their messages. Uh, More than likely, they'll probably come back with another name type of thing, because that they tend to do that. But you just got to take them for what they are. Really sad people that don't have lives. So that's what they are. We're not going to lie here. That's what the whole trolling aspect is. Uh, when you got a troll, then you've kind of you just it's kind of a look at me type of thing. Um, anyway, let's ignore that. All right, wrestling. 20 years ago, Irishman and Sopranos prequel. Actually, I'm very excited about those as well, especially the Irishman. I'm not a little bit. It's a little bit hard for me with the Sopranos, because because Tony's gone, man. It's that was a he was a tough loss. James Gandolfini was a tough loss. But because he left it so early. But his son's gonna be doing the role, so that's kind of cool. But for anyway, around just over 20 years ago, we had two big wrestling companies. We had WCW, World Championship Wrestling, and we had WWF, the World Wrestling Federation. They fought against each other for 80, I think 89 weeks, 88 or 89 weeks, where basically it was we had the WCW beating the WWF over and over and over again until the WWF decided to do something revolutionary. Their characters were going to grow up. They were going to be more edgy. They were going to be different. They were going to go farther than WCW did. At this period in time, WCW became a victim of its own success, and people that didn't care anything about wrestling or didn't care anything about the company decided that they wanted to come in and have their 2 cents being said during that time period, and decided, you know what, let's make this wrestling more let's take the edge a little bit off. Let's make wrestling more family friendly. Let's take out some of this really kind of raunchier stuff. So while WCW was being forced to lessen what they were doing, WWF was doing something that they call the Attitude Era. And the best way to explain that is there was a third company in the mix, known as Extreme Championship Wrestling, called ECW, run by Paul Heyman. And what the WWF did at the time was they looked at ECW and they said, "Let's do that. Let's take that. Let's take those storylines and their style of wrestling and their style of characters, and let's use that." First controversial video? Why would that be controversial? So they did, and eventually what happened is WWF changed their name after losing a lawsuit to World Wildlife Federation, to WWE. They went public. Their show became more watered down, but in doing so, like WCW and ECW both went under, and WWE bought up their competition. So we got our first real serious monopoly in like you think Disney's a monopoly? No, wrestling. That's a monopoly. Um, I think so too, Blue. We agree on that one. So we're getting here. It's really hard. I don't know. Uh, I'll get back to you on that one, George. But so it's 20 years later. For the last 20 years, WWE have been the big game, the big name in the business. There's been other smaller promotions. One promotion, Total Nonstop Action, TNA, which changed their name to Impact, once ran by Jeff Jarrett. Um, they made a small swipe at trying to be big, but it didn't work out. And what happened is that they ended up losing the channel that they're on, and now they're on a much smaller channel. Um, and they're still going on, but every day you kind of wonder, is TNA going to be dead the next day? There was ROH, which was way smaller. They're kind of like the ECW. They were kind of like the ECW of now for a while. So for a while, what WWE decided to do was they put on a new show and they called it NXT. So NXT originally was crap. It was like literally like a almost like a game show, and it was a really bad. So it was failing. They didn't know what to do with it. Vince McMahon gave NXT to Triple H to run, and basically to do with what he wanted to do. And he turned it. He looked at what companies like ROH were doing, much in the way the WWE back in the day looked at companies what ECW were doing, and said, you know what, let's make this a more of a wrestler centric like show. let's make this more like if people like indie wrestling, if people are watching ROH, or people are watching New Japan Pro Wrestling, they're gonna appreciate what we're doing with NXT a bit more. And he has built that up. Like there's been kind of lulls like in between. The show hasn't been perfect all the way through, not even close. But it has done some really great stuff and some really amazing matches. Hence the NXT's greatest matches. And they've picked a lot of like great wrestlers over the years, like popular New Japan wrestlers, indie wrestlers, guys like Adam Cole, Finn Balor, people like that. All right, so but the problem was that once those people got up to the main stage, once they got them to Raw or to SmackDown, that nobody knew what to do with them. They weren't being utilized well. They were failing. They were leaving. They were, just the same people were being on the show was that would come on Raw, and that same people would come on SmackDown, even though they were supposed to be two different programs. You got a lot of Shane McMahon, and especially lately. So AEW comes around. It is actually. And here's the thing. So AEW comes around, and AEW is done by Cody Rhodes, Chris Jericho, the Young Bucks, probably the one of the greatest, if not the greatest tag team going right now. They're a lot like the Rockers. If you remember, if you're old school and you remember the Rockers, like Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, the Young Bucks, yeah, they're like that. Skill set wise, they're definitely like that. And you get Kenny Omega, who was a huge New Japan. Like he was part of the real Bullet Club, like the kind of cool offshoot Bullet Club. And Chris Jericho, and they got together with the Khans, who were super rich, and decided, let's do a wrestling company. That's exactly what they are. More so Hardys and Rockers, yeah, especially with their style. Now, the Young Bucks take when they're in the ring, like they wrestle extremely well and they take it very seriously. But this isn't like the 1980s where people don't know that wrestling isn't a stage performance. So the Young Bucks will have a bit of fun with that. And I think there's people like Jim Cornette who still thinks we're back in 1980, who finds great, like he hates it. He hates the fact that they kind of go behind the curtain a bit. Anyway, so hey Jared, how's it going? Basically, what happened is WWE decided. So AEW got a show, a primetime show on Wednesday nights, TNT, which is where WCW used to be. So basically, they're on a Turner channel, with major promotion, and this is the first time in over 20 years that this has happened. And they chose Wednesday nights because WWE had a Monday night show and they had a Thursday night show. But so they chose Wednesday nights. They said, we don't want to make a war out of this. Like we'll have some shots at WWE and stuff like that, but it'll be, we'll let ourselves grow, and we'll see. We'll let fans choose, type of thing. But we're not going to go head to head against them. We're not going to do anything like that. We're just getting started. But WWE pushed it. They pushed it today. So because they announced that they're doing the NXT show, their only popular program right now, like with wrestling fans, it's their only popular show, is going to be coming on the USA Network. Thanks a lot. You have a great evening there, George. I'll think about the question. I really don't know the answer. That's the reason I haven't said. They they said that WWE is taking their NXT show and giving it like was mentioned there, a 2-hour program on Wednesday nights, and they're starting it in September, a month before AEW starts up their show in October. Now, I get it, kind of business wise. I get that they're really there to crush the competition. It's a business, that type of thing. I think it's a bad idea for WWE, and I'll tell you why. it's a super bad idea because you know what's really cool about Marvel and DC, or what's really cool about like Sony and Disney and all this type of stuff. Uh, the competition creates interest, and WWE has been doing not well, like viewership wise, and it's gotten worse. I will get there. Don't worry, but I've been wanting to get to this Jesse for a bit, so I'm gonna get it out. So and they need. No, it's okay. Because I actually I wanted to mention that and I didn't, and I forgot about it. So you reminded me. So that's cool. That's a good thing. But they need competition. They desperately need competition, and they try to make believe that SmackDown versus Raw is competition. Nobody buys it, and it's obvious. The creative is going worse. They're getting the people that ran the companies that they put into the ground to run their shows now in hopes to help the show do well, and they need to let AEW thrive a bit, and get an audience. They need this us against them. It'll work both well for both of them. The best ratings that WWF or WCW ever got were obviously when they're going up against one another. And you would, if you go back and look at the ratings then, it's insane. Ratings that they would kill to get nowadays. That just doesn't happen. The second, okay, we're going to get on to the second site, down to dead set. But anyway, we'll talk more about the AEW NXT thing. I think it's a big mistake for WWF WWE because they need competition because their company is going down. Like they're not going anywhere anytime soon. They got lots of money, that type of thing. But I think it's a bad idea. And you guys should watch them. And if you guys don't watch wrestling, at least when October comes around, try and give AW like a watch, because I think they deserve it. And yeah, do that for me. Watch the first episode of AW. If you like my channel and you like me, you'll do that. It'll be 2 hours that you'll enjoy. And even if you don't watch it again, I want to see them like get a really great opening. Anyway, Dawn of the Dead is coming out next year. You do actually. You do get American Wrestling in the UK. Just sometimes I have to stay up later for it. Yeah, I'm not sure where it's going to go there. Maybe on Sky. When WCW started their program of Monday Nitro, when it first went in there, what happened was Lex Luger showed up, and he was the WWF guy at the time, so it was a big deal. And of course, when the Monday was the NWO thing, and Scott Hall shows up, and he's like, "You know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here." Hey, Lewis, welcome back, dude. The biggest thing that could happen, one of the biggest things that could happen, in my not so humble opinion, is AEW starts off their show, they get towards the end or the middle of their show, and CM Punk walks out. That that would be the moment, and that would be what AEW would need to really start a revolution. I don't care what it takes, cons. Cody and Punk are fans, are friends. It will still air on the WD network. It'll air the day after. Well, wrestling itself, JR, is cyclical. It's a cyclical thing. But that being said, they they've really gotten downhill in the last few years. I don't mean like a little bit. I mean a lot. Uh, Creatively, they've gotten really, really, really bad, and that's it's a shame. You're getting a good match here or there, but story wise, it's just all over the place. I don't know. I don't see if Punk, if they were to get Punk, if they did throw enough money Punk's way and give him enough creative control, they were going to have to do that, of course. I wouldn't see him showing up anytime before the first episode of their program in October, and that's when I would, because I think that is exactly when you need something like that. That gets all eyes on your program. We got a lot of comments here on the Dawn of the Dead. I'm guessing everybody's excited about Dawn of the Dead, uh, and the second sight edition of that. That's one that's a lot of people thought was going to be coming. That might be their October release. Looks like that's going into that's coming into next year, but they're taking their time to do like a really good release. So to use a phrase, to use a phrase of with another company, is that Second Sight is synapsing this release of Dawn of the Dead and taking their time with it. Oh, he definitely has the money for it. It's just like if CM Punk basically says, you know, that he wants to do it. Like there's a lot of like irons in the fire for CM Punk, but it's not just going to be CM Punk that's going to matter when it comes to something like this. It's going to be what AJ Lee thinks as well. Uh, so that'll be something that they would think of as a couple. And I don't care what your program is. If AJ Lee comes on the screen, this dude's watching it. After hours cut, the long cut. I think we're going to get. I think that Second Sight are going to really like. This is going to be their big. This is the big thing. This is a maker. This is a making like moment for Second Sight. They've been putting in some really great stuff recently. Some amazing additions, and I don't think I don't have a lot of them, but a lot of my friends do, and nobody has. I don't think anybody's ever said Second Sight really didn't deliver on this. They put it the Changeling, did a great job with that. I got the When a Stranger Calls set, which is incredible. Second Sight they've been getting bigger and bigger with what they do, and the format that they're using, the way they're putting it, their boxes, they're thick box sets, so they're really well done, has been working for them. And this is the moment. This is Second Sight's moment. Dawn of the Dead and Martin. This is Second Sight's moment to hit that. See the shirt? Sure. This is my Pet Cemetery shirt that I'm wearing today. Last night's was GI Joe. Today it's Pet Cemetery. I'm a huge fan. Hey, Kathy, welcome. Uh, we are talking right now, but we're talking about Second Sight right now, because it's looking pretty sexy. I'm very excited about the Dawn of the Dead. Obviously, like everybody else, I've got the edition that everybody has right now, the 4 disc edition on DVD. That's pretty much everybody's go-to for Dawn of the Dead right now. What we want to see like a really good restoration. We want to see all of them on there. I want Pet Cemetery too. It's what I'm excited about. I'm not sure if I can get. I got to check the date for that one. Is that an October release? Because if it's an October release, it's a possibility. I've got Pet Cemetery on 4K up there, um, and I bought that one like the day that it came out. I'm a huge Clancy Brown fan. Winter of this year, possible then, definitely possible. Um, but it's going to be interesting with the Dawn of the Dead release. It's a make your company release. I hear it's okay, Jesse. Like I'll be honest with you, I haven't heard a lot on it, and the fact that you haven't heard a lot on it, and I haven't heard a lot about it, I think is pretty telling. For me, Clancy Brown's best performance is in Carnival. That's my favorite, personally. But it's never a good sign. that we're not hearing a lot of it. We're not hearing like a lot of the collecting community like raving about it. That's never a good sign that it's like that it's been an amazing release. Um, I think it's a passable release is what from what I know. And that's being said, I know very little about it, but usually the fact that none of us here have heard much about it. When I was younger, Lewis, I used to go to the States a bit, actually. Now it's probably gonna be a while before I get there. Uh, we'll see how things go. But I, I I used to travel there when I was younger because I lived in Ontario. We go to Maine, places like that. But my my biggest like thing going was there that my better half's her uncle used to have like a place in the U.S. Like he's really like is very well to do. Uh, oh really? Wow. And in the last couple of years, things he saw like businesses like kind of business changing. He, he's kind of like he's one of those guys that's on the pulse of like where things are going type of thing. So he moved business like out of the U.S. into some different areas and made like a ton of money on that. But he kind of goes back and forth. He has like business contacts there, and he used to have a place there. So we had planned to take a trip to San Francisco and kind of like spend some time there. Go to the theme parks, that type of stuff. But stuff happened. We'll eventually get there. But right now, it's just insane. Here, so see, somebody knows about the about, about the 4K release. I didn't like the cover of it either. I really didn't. That's my dad. Thanks, Kat. My dad actually, I haven't heard anything on surgery yet, so that hasn't happened yet. So okay, but probably in a bit of pain. He actually, I mentioned it on here. Like he grabbed Lust for a Vampire, the Hammer Scream Factory release, with Mike Raven and Ralph Bates. Um, it was like $14 in on Amazon CA for a while. I think it still is actually. By the way, if you're in Canada or you buy from Amazon Canada, keep an eye out because recently they've been dropping prices on a lot of the Scream Factory releases, kind of randomly. So every day I look to see what new Scream Factories, hey Mussing, have been dropped in price that I can use for my watching. I'm pretty sure that Logan, if you're still here, I'm going to be doing the trilogy, the Karnstein trilogy, over during October. So because I have Twins of Evil, I got Vampire Lovers, and Lust was one that I needed. That was the one that I'm missing out on. And once that one comes, that perfect. That's like set up for like 3 days in October, or maybe one day if I do them all together. Yikes! October is going to be very very hectic for me because one, I'll be back. Fingers crossed. Like things look good for me to be back working in the month of October and working heavily. But I'm still going to do my best to do the 31 days and to do different than most people in that the 31 live days. Vinegar Syndrome October, but I need to know soon, Jesse. I mean, I'm allotting my money for the October month, and Vinegar Syndrome is dragging their heels and letting us know what the October package is. Um, it's mid-August. I know sometimes you don't like let us know till, but I have to allot my money soon, and I would love to allot it to Vinegar Syndrome if it's a good box set and stuff like that. So Vinegar Syndrome, please soon let us know what you're putting out because everybody now is like thinking, okay, I'm going to get the Omen box set, or I'm going to get the Kino releases, or I'm going to get this or that type of thing. If you want to be the one that grabs the people's money, people like me, collectors like me, we like to do this, like to plan ahead for stuff like this, especially if this is a pricey box set. Uh, no, I would love to have Night Eyes. This it looks like though they said like like it looked like a slasher type one, like maim, kill, stab, like type stuff was in the description of the box set. Um, So I thought witchcraft first. That was my first thought of what it could be. Like I wanted Night Eyes. I didn't think would happen. Not yet, anyway. It's not gonna be an October release. Not for Night Eyes. Then I said, maybe it's gonna be witchcraft because witchcraft is, they work with, especially the early witchcrafts. And then rumors came out it could be witchcraft 1 to 9, which would be an awesome one. I think it'd be pricey though. Uh, and then that hint kind of came at that comment, which makes me think, it's something even more um, horrific, like more slasher thing. Dude, I know, Jesse. I was talking about the indicator sale yesterday, and I'm going to be my next video, by the way, just so you know. I'm bringing my computer downstairs. I'm going on the indicator website. We are going to go through indicators releases, and we are going to talk about indicator. We're going to make up. We're going to be here together. We're going to make up our dream list of indicator releases for their only sale of the year. From Kino right now, I know for sure, Kathy, that I'm going to grab Trilogy of Terror. That's a definite, and Nightmare Beach. Those two are definites for me right now. There are others that I'm thinking of, but those two are pretty much for certain. And I went back and forth. I looked at 88 Films edition of Nightmare Beach as well. I checked on that, but I kind of do want the Kino one, Bloody Terror. I really want that, Jesse. I'm a huge Norma J. Warren fan. Obviously, I've got all the Scream Factory ones. One of my dream videos that I want to do is to do the Scream Factory Norma J. Warrens versus the Indicator Norma J. Warrens. That's a dream video for me. That is a dream video for me. See, if any of these companies actually watched my channel and saw what love that I gave to them, maybe they'd send me some of this stuff. But no, anything that I get normally, I unfortunately that comes out of Aaron's pocketbook. Satan's Slaves. I haven't watched my copy of Satan's Slaves yet, Kathy. I got that one too, and I'm kind of interested, but part of me wants to wait just in case I do get the indicator set. Let me just check something. I got to close up my thing here for a second. I got to go to the Powerhouse website really quickly because I want to see something. So let's just say that this Friday at noon our sale starts. Let's go to their box sets, for instance. Oh, not bad. So their Norman J. Warren Bloody Terror box set right now at regular price runs £44. So that's £45. That looks like an unusual set. Who put out the Duke Mitchell set, by the way? So if they go in at 50% off, then that's £23 for the Norman J. Warren set. That's a shame then. I may have to pull the trigger on that. We got 5 movies. They put them in like limited edition digipacks. I really, really like the extra features that they got on here. The interviews with Norma J. Warren that weren't available on the other releases. Some of the archival documentaries and like just having Seminide. There's so much. It's definitely one. I'm not gonna lie. Right now is not a good time financially for me. This is a bad time for this to come up, because normally this would be something I would dive like deep into. But things are super tight right now. But if I can do it at all, that's definitely one that I will pick up. You actually pass on after watching the trailers. Norm J. Warren's an acquired taste, much like Pete Walker. But I do think he's fun, especially Bloody New Year. Bloody New Year's a blast. It's such a weird, fun film. Depending on your player. The good thing about Them Livins is that there was issues with the Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger on the first set that they did, And I can tell you, like right now, that they were super quick and on any replacements that were needed. So if they end up having to like to put some stuff out, did you like Dark August, or do you like kind of hate me for it? But hopefully, I got a C key, so I'm not. I don't think I can. I don't foresee a problem coming. But they are amazing with their customer service and getting stuff out there. Whereas with some companies, you're like, you feel like if I get this and it doesn't work out, I'm stuck with it type of thing. With Indicator, I mean, they were fast. I couldn't believe how fast they were at getting the disc to me. And I didn't even like. I said, okay. I was because I was one of the people like I can be a little lax when it comes to like if I got the movie and I'm enjoying it. Like there's people that'll go and they got like they'll be they like are super into like the they'll be like doing the picture and the sound. They'll have like devices that they use to check the quality and stuff. I'm a movie fan. I'm not like I'm not like one of the I guess I'm not the tech. I'm not the person that's going to look at it and say, well, that is 3 degrees better. I don't have that skill set, to be honest with you. That's to be completely honest. But I was okay with the set. I want the Marlene Dietrich. I really want that too. That's the thing. I that well, there's a movie literally called Morocco there, right? So that's kind of a given. And I know that my better half would really enjoy the Marlene Dietrich set as well. So like I would like that. I would like to have Legacy. The Legacy. There's a couple that Blue Collar is one of is a film that I've wanted for ages. So stuff like that really stands out to me. Whether I can get like one thing or anything from the sale, it's going to depend. It's going to depend on a couple things. I'll be honest with you. It's going to depend on what their sale shipping is like. That's going to be a big deal from Canada, and if in that time period I can get anything, if I can like manage to like get up enough cash to get anything, I'm be like my dad. Like I'll sell something. Standard edition I have to get. Yeah, the limited edition's already gone. Hey, Asian movie enthusiast, you're coming here at the end, by the way. But it is a big time. I mean, we know when we get sales from the other companies. Uh, but if they're I expect it, Scalder. I expect this to be epic. I really do. It's a once a year sale type of thing. So I'm truly expecting this to be at least 50% off. And that would be pretty epic. That's what I'm expecting. I love the Indicator packaging. Now I haven't seen the Norman J. Warren. I've seen pictures of the Norman J. Warren box set, but I don't. I'm guessing that's the one you're talking about, right? But I haven't seen like but because you look at the Indicator packs, they're solid. Like their box sets are hard case, really great sets, and I'm kind of curious about the digipacks. I don't. I see myself liking them. I like what I've seen of them. I think, and I'm going to be honest with you, I think some people. But why would you split them? I mean, like the only way I can see this becoming a problem with somebody is if somebody's like if there's a person that's out there and wants to buy Inseminate, and that's the only thing they want to buy, and they're going to sell off the rest of the films. Uh, then I can see that being kind of like oh, the packaging box. Oh, okay. uh, then I can see that being a case. But if you're buying a box set, own it and to enjoy and watch the films, I don't think that packaging is going to bother you. But now that being said, their packaging like hopefully it's good because I won't like get too dinged up of a set. I had that happen a couple times with Amazon early on when I started my Amazon Prime. I'd get some sets coming, they'd be like, yeah, I knew I was going to have some like ding corners and stuff like that when I got them. Anyway, guys, despite early voice problems in this video from me, which you guys apparently annoyed some of you guys enough that you told me I had to go get some tea and honey. We managed to get 100 minutes out of this here talk. We had some really interesting debates on Marvel and Spider-Man, which was really fun. And it just goes to show you, you don't have to agree to have a great time. You can see different sides of it, and that's really fun. That's the way to do it. We even had one troll come in and be very unsuccessful. But thank you guys so much for watching today. Our next video, we are going to really dive into that indicator sale. We are going to look at what's out there. We're going to look at I've looked at the box sets that I got last night. Great to see you too. Well, great to hear you, Kathy. And we'll check on some other stuff that is there. Now, if you totally forgot what I was going to say. I really did. I just had something in my mind, but it's gone. Anyway, I'm Aaron. This is the Movie Library. You guys are the Movie Club. You guys are awesome. And over the last 101 minutes, one thing has become very, very clear. It's time for tea. Have a good day, guys.